Hey everybody, it's Janice Wright from the Garrison Public Affairs Office, and today we're talking all things safety on this week's episode of the Great Big Podcast. Welcome back, and we're talking winter weather safety, and we have a representative from the safety office to tell us all about it.
How you doing? I'm Michael Hampton, the Director of Safety for 3 Corps and Fort Cavazos. Janice, thanks for having me back.
Thank you for being here. So tell us about winter weather safety and how people can stay safe as the temperatures dip.
Winter safety in Texas, as you know, is an animal because it ebbs and flows. And with that, I think it's important to note that everything that we say here today can be found on a winter safety website that's in the notes of this podcast itself, the show notes. So this week it's mild condition, almost reaching the 60s and 70s, but last week it was below freezing. So during this time of the year, it's hit and miss whether we're going to move into spring or whether another winter cold chill is going to come back and hit us. So it's very important for everyone to understand that it's not over until it's over, spring officially hits, because we can always get hit with another cold snap, which could lead to injuries. We know that since we're a military force, we focus on readiness itself. And when we start having injuries, they actually affect that readiness, whether it's injuries with the soldiers or with family members. Because either way, it's going to pull the soldier away from their duties and their mission. Our goal, the CG's and the Sergeant Major's goal, is to ensure that our force remains protected, but also the families remain protected here in the local area. And with that said, some of the things that we really want to look out for are the injuries, frostbite or hypothermia. We protect ourselves from that by wearing layer clothing, but also understanding our environment, knowing what is coming, what either tomorrow or a week out. We all have the technology today to look at our cell phones to say 7 to 10 days out what the weather is going to be like. So let's prepare for that. And there's a lot of ways for us to prepare for that. Let me give you an example. So if I'm driving any type of distance or I'm riding in my car, one thing I want to make sure is that I don't get low on gas. Why? If I get stranded somewhere in the snow, I'm going to need that heat. So because of that, I wouldn't let my vehicle get below half tank. So make sure that you're keeping fuel in your tank. Don't let it get so low. If you get stranded out somewhere where you don't have any help, that you're going to run out of fuel, then you risk getting frostbite, freezing to death, or hypothermia. So those are just some of the things, but also make sure that you have like an ice scraper in your car. Make sure you have blankets in your car, flashlights, all the emergency equipment that you normally have, that you will need those in the wintertime.
So earlier you talking about, driving and the precautions to take on the road. What are some other things that drivers and listeners can do to prepare themselves and stay safe? I know one of the major things I do is try to have a little safety, like a safety pack in the car with, first aid, food, water, things like that, a blanket.
I would say that regardless of the time of year, you need to have an emergency kit, which includes food and blanket, flashlights, emergency flashers, anything that you may need. But one thing I will say as far as driving is concerned, actually driving in conditions in Texas, a lot of people in Texas are not used to driving in inclement weather, especially when they talk about snow and ice. So everyone needs to slow down. I know that we have a lot of individuals. I'm originally from Ohio, so I'm very familiar with driving in the snow, but I've been displaced for many, many years. And so I have to take that in consideration every time I get on the road. I'm not that same driver I was, decades ago that would, rode in snow every day or every winter. So with that, I ask individuals to slow down and put on their emergency flasher so other drivers understand that there's something impeding this individual from driving, and so it's a hazard to them and they can be seen. That's one of the biggest issues that we have. Also, if you break down, slide off the road for any reason, do not get out of your vehicle if your vehicle is still sitting on the road. We just had a young female that one of our soldiers got killed because she parked her car over a hill, and it wasn't inclement weather, but it was at nighttime. Another car came over the hill and hit her. So you have to be careful and know your environment and know your surroundings. Cold weather just complicates things. All right, so take your time, understand where your destination is, and be prepared.
You mentioned you were from Ohio and used to snow. I am also from Kansas City, Missouri, and I'm used to the snow, but again, I've been here for 2 decades, so it's a quite different thing driving on the road and still being cautious.
Absolutely.
So even moving beyond the cold winter months and into, spring and summer, which, Texas is known for, what are some other precautions that the community can take?
I even think even before we go beyond the winter months here, another thing that really is an issue is individuals dealing with heaters. So we have electric heaters, then we have fuel type heaters, whether they be diesel or propane. Individuals need to know how to handle those heaters. A lot of fires are caused by them. We have carbon monoxide poisoning caused by them because they're not well ventilated. So individuals need to ensure that they're reading the instructions and understand exactly what the hazards are and how to safely operate those mechanisms. And it's very important. We have individuals that pass every year because they just didn't read the instruction and they got into a confined space, and it's an open flame, carbon monoxide, and next thing you know, they passed away because of it. So as long as individuals are taking those precautions, they can do it safely. These things are designed to be safe as long as they're utilized in a safe manner. Outside of that, I would say also here in Texas, we don't necessarily bury our water lines deep because we don't typically have hard freezes. Last week we had a hard freeze. This week not so much. So because of that, we have a tendency to have water breaks. It's important to understand that if you have a water break, you get a licensed plumber out there to fix this water break. However, if you're out there, understand if you're exposing yourself to that water below freezing temperature, then of course you're subjecting yourself to frostbite, hypothermia. So you have to be careful when you're working with water or any other type of liquid when it's actually in freezing type of environments. Make sure that you're taking your precautions that you need to take when you're working with plumbing and piping. Make sure you're covering your spigots, insulating them to ensure that they don't burst. But if you do have one that does burst, make sure you call a licensed plumber. They'll come out and they'll fix it for you.
Duly noted. I have done some of these things, and I stay with my gloves, so very important.
Good.
So safety is pretty much paramount on our installation, and as such, we celebrate Safety Day awareness every year. Can you tell us a little bit about the upcoming event?
Yeah, the Safety Awareness Day is in May, and what it is May is just kind of our spring opening, and because of that, we know there's a lot more activity going on, outside activity going on. So we have a Safety Awareness Day. It's an installation-wide Safety Awareness Day, and we asked everyone to come out to it. All of our soldiers that aren't actively engaged in an ongoing operation will be there. So we're talking thousands of individuals out there. But with that, we host events, whether they are individuals just tell them about safety awareness, or there's a practical piece where individuals wear the drunk goggles and they ride through the cones. So it's very active. It's kind of a carnival type of environment. So it's fun learning, but it actually enhances individuals' awareness of safety. We've had it now for a couple of years. Last year, unfortunately, it got canceled due to weather. However, we do have it scheduled again here in May and as a backup plan. But one thing that I would like to talk about outside of that is as we transition out of the winter months into the summer months, you will see an increase in activity in boating, in water sports, in motorcycle riding, and know that as we project ourselves out into these environments, we need to understand those environments because they can be hazard to us. Yes, they're fun. We have a good time, but you'll hear about individuals drowning because they went out and chased one of the little balls that was floating in the water and they're hard to catch. Wind has a tendency to blow them. They get too far out and they can't swim back. Or individuals aren't licensed on boating, maybe consuming alcohol on boating. So just be careful and know your environment when you're out there conducting boating. I will tell you that our leading killer of our soldiers on Fort Cavazos and across the Corps is PMV-2 or PMV-4, which is private motor vehicle. 2 is a motorcycle and 4 is a car. We kill more soldiers on the roads than anything else. So it's imperative that, of course, we're wearing our seat belts. My office has efforted a motorcycle safety check, no notice check on the gate, so they will see those time from time. But one thing, an ancillary finding that we found is that over 30% of the individuals coming on installation was not wearing their seatbelts. So now we are actively, surveying that as well. We know DES is involved, and they're reminding individuals to put on a seatbelt. It's not only a requirement on the installation; it's a state requirement. So everyone should have their seatbelts on because seatbelts do save lives. There's individuals that get ejected from their vehicles once they roll over if they don't have their seatbelts on. The odds are you're more likely to survive if you have your seatbelt on, and that's why they mandate that we have those. As far as boating safety and water safety, fishing safety, make sure that you're careful of any vectors, meaning insects, any reptiles, snakes, or snakes out there. Fortunately here we don't have alligators. However, we do have snakes. And then we have rattlesnakes too, which don't frequent the water. We do have water moccasins, but there's a rattlesnake. So those things are going to be coming out, and they're going to be sunning themselves because it's a little bit cooler now. However, when they start coming out, just know that they are out there, and they can be harmful to you, and to include spiders and anything else. And I would just ask that everyone listen to them and pay attention to the mass alerts that are coming out. Also the red alerts, everyone has access to them. And they will come into you, and once you hear about those mass alerts, then pay attention to them because they're critical. They're letting you know that something could impede your travel or your environment that you're currently in. It's important that everyone receive that. And if you're in a place where individuals haven't received it, make sure you tell your battle buddy. You tell your partners, hey, this is coming, just so you know.
And we actually have someone from your department that's going to tell us a little bit more about the emergency alert system.
Oh, good.
So that's great information, and we appreciate it.
Hey, Janice, I appreciate having me. Anytime you want me back, just let me know.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. More on the Great Big Podcast coming up.
You're in the mix with the man who sets the turntables on fire. Here comes the beat.
I'm literally en route right now, man. Wait, hang on. This song is my jam. All right, so look, tonight we're on Elm Street, right? I'm only about 10 minutes out. And listen, don't worry about Willie, okay? I'm gonna make sure he's there. He's gonna be there. I'm gonna shoot him a text right now, okay? Out.
Sergeant Mathers prides himself in his ability to multitask, on or off duty. Only one problem. Studies show that successful multitasking while at the wheel is not possible. The stats were against him. Reaching for that burger made it 8 times more likely he'd crash. Did you know distracted driving causes nearly 50% of all accidents? All in all, it injures almost 400,000 people a year and kills nearly 4,000. On or off duty, distracted driving is deadly. The bottom line, if you drive while distracted, then you're not driving.
Welcome back. And in addition to winter weather safety, there is also a concern of low water crossing, and we have someone from the safety office to tell us a little bit more about that.
Hello, I'm Doug Huddleston, Director of Garrison Safety here at Fort Cavazos. It's good to be here.
Well, it's good to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit more about the new low water crossing program?
Right, so this has been a system that actually came online a few months ago. Its primary design is for enhancing safety for our soldiers and our people that go out on our tactical training areas and range areas. Actually is a pretty good system, incorporates over 8 electronic sensors. They're mounted midstream in the low water crossing areas where our soldiers and tactical vehicles go and others. It's designed mainly for safety to transmit a signal back to a receiver, which is then transmitted onto what we call our Incident Operations Command Center here at 3 Corps. Its system is an alerting system designed primarily to give situational awareness and emergency alerts to the various commands here that are on Fort Cavazos.
And how do soldiers and personnel get those alerts?
So each soldier will have basically the ability to receive alerts through our IOC or our Incident Operation Command. It's via text and via their computer systems to notify them that there has been a trigger in this case, one of the low water crossing areas. Therefore, enhancing safety in the fact that it also provides this information to field commanders. They're able to receive these alerts and then plan accordingly for missions.
Can you tell us more about the Code Red notification system?
Yes, so certainly there's an excellent notification system which actually covers a large group of folks. It could be our soldiers, our families, service members. But this system is Code Red. It is administered from the Council of Governments. But what it actually is and does for us, for the general public, is it provides emergency notifications of any disaster. It could be a tornado event, it could be a flooding event, anything such as that. It's very good. It works well for that system.
So you were explaining about the Code Red alert system. What areas does it cover?
Yes, so comprehensive system covers over 6 counties. They could be out toward our Brady area, all the way up to over to Temple or Waco. So it's a pretty broad 6-county area.
All right, and as far as any information that listeners might need in addition to what you just said, where can they find that?
Right, so they may reference the information that's in the show notes underneath this podcast, and they would have a website to go to. What you do, you go to their website. You're going to it'll bring you into a verification of who you are, what you are. So simply providing a name, an email address, contact information, and then there will be other things that you have to do to answer a few questions. What type of alerts you want to receive, tornado, etc. Are there certain things you're looking for, or do you want to receive all alerts? It's a good situational awareness tool. You can receive these alerts anywhere that you have phone coverage. So if you think about it when you're out traveling, might be a good thing to have, even if you're planning a short trip or you're at home, just for situational awareness, it's a good tool.
Great. Great information for all of our listeners to have. Thanks so much for being here. We'll have a little bit more for our listeners coming right up.
Have you ever wondered about the differences between CDSE's education and training programs? Both programs offer students a unique experience. Our education courses expand students' knowledge of security concepts to enhance career growth,
while our training courses focus on the skills needed for students to complete their current or future duties.
Our education courses are 16 weeks long and are virtual instructor-led.
Training courses range from 30 minutes to over 4 weeks and can be self-paced e-learning, in-person instructor-led, or virtual instructor-led.
Education courses are limited to U.S. government and military personnel.
Our training courses are available to military, civilian, cleared contractors, and anyone needing overall security awareness.
With education courses, as well as some training, students can earn ACE credit recommendations towards a degree at participating institutions.
To learn more about our education and training programs, or to register, visit cdse.edu.
And we're back, and guess who's back on the podcast with us?
Hey, it's Samantha Harms with the Garrison Public Affairs Office, and I'm back again for a second week in a row.
Yay.
Feels so weird being back again.
Does it?
But like in a good way. In a good way, you know? It's just, I think for so long when I first started, I was on every single week. And then very slowly I was like, okay, let me back off a little. Let's bring Janice on the podcast. Let's bring Eric Franklin on the podcast. Let's have everybody else come on in and like take over. And now I miss it.
I think our podcast has grown leaps and bounds, all the way from just the audio to now they get to see, match the voices with the faces. I think it's great.
Yeah, so I always love to tell people if you aren't watching us on YouTube, you should be. Because you can see the beautiful outfit that you have on today. I'm loving this color on you. It looks great.
I try very hard. I make an effort.
Yeah, we love that. No, I love talking about the fashion choices that we sometimes make in this office, but mostly about Mr. Moore.
Oh, gosh.
Our community relations chief.
Probably the sharpest.
The sharpest dresser I've ever seen. It's honestly incredible
Hands
how
down.
well he dresses every single day without fail. For a long time, I didn't even think he owned a pair of jeans.
He said he does not wear jeans.
Yeah, never.
I can't imagine
I
that.
can't either.
They're so stylish. They're just so versatile.
Yeah.
Probably 3 days out of the week I'm going to wear jeans, especially while it's been so cold. Oh my gosh.
No, yeah. Over that last week, it was so cold. Yeah, absolutely. I was wearing jeans.
Yes. Thank goodness for the winter weather safety podcast we had. Great tips, great advice. Love it.
Yeah, it was really, I think, really informative, especially given that we are in that winter safety timeline that they were talking about, just like the ebb and the flow. You just never know what's going to happen here. It was 80 one week and then 20 degrees the next week and then back to 80s and back to 20s. Now we're back to 70s again.
I'm afraid we're going to go back to the cold. I'm just so loving Texas when it's like this. It doesn't even have to be, just so hot. This is perfect.
Yeah, I agree. When it's in that like sweet 70s spot with like the light breeze, but it's not too hot. The sun is shining. You can wear jeans still. Maybe a light jacket at the most. That's the perfect weather.
Yes. Now, when I was at home, I did not miss the snow. They got about 6 inches.
That's right. You went back to Kansas City for the Super Bowl, right?
I did, and
nice.
to visit family.
Yeah.
I try to get there at least once a year, and yes, my Chiefs. They
yeah, I know.
They didn't bring it home.
I was very sad too. Yeah.
Yeah. We digress, and we will be back next year.
Well, start it over again, right? We'll just do take a little break in between, and then come back next year, win it, and then come back the next year again, and then at least you kind of got something going on there.
Doesn't take away from the great things we have done. We just didn't bring home that 3-peat.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that would have been history making. So
it would have been. Yeah.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
That's what they say. Yeah.
So yeah. So what is on the agenda for you this week? How do you like to start off your week in the most positive way?
That is a great question. For me, I really like to start with a cup of tea. I think that really centers me on, okay, we're going to have a good day today. Once I get into the office, I have to have a cup of tea. But for me at home, to start the day, I always have to put music on. So I do my podcast listening in the morning for the news and what's happening, what do we got going on in the world. And it's okay, it's time to listen to some music and get into a nice flow of what we're going for the day.
I do the same thing, and I say a couple of positive mantras. I also pray. I do my normal things. I let my dog out, and I have to watch him now because he has found a way to get out
of
the gate. Yes. So I have to now spend that little 5 minutes watching him, making sure he stays in, and then let him in. But yeah, I like to start my day off with positivity. A little music never hurts anybody. And then when I get to work, I love tea as well. Chai has been my favorite. Yep. Our co-worker Derica got me hooked on it when we went to Demfo's.
Oh,
yes, I did not know that there was a ready-made chai mix. Yay for ready-made!
We love ready-made.
Yes. I had no idea, and ever since then, I have been buying it.
Nice. Yes. Well, we love teamwork.
We do. Love it. Teamwork makes the dream work.
It sure does. It sure does, including on this podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're a great team.
Yeah.
You guys should watch every week. We're here every week.
Well, I know it's been a real treat for me. I said this last week, too, when I was on with Monty. I was like, wow, it's been a real treat being on the podcast again. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to coming back and spending more time with us on this podcast because I always find it so fun and so entertaining and so informative as well. I feel like every week I walk away learning stuff. These are things I should have already known, but here we are anyways. We're all learning together.
And I learned something from you. Maybe I'll tune into the news just to get an extra boost and stay abreast, help me stay abreast of what's going on.
Yeah. So I find that there's a variety of podcasts out there. If you want to watch the news, you can do that. But for me, I just like to listen to it as I'm getting ready and stuff. That way I'm not having to sit down and actually watch anything. I can just keep my day going.
And it's okay if you want to listen and watch the others, but this one is the best.
Well, obviously, we're the number one here. You should start every day with us if you could.
Yes, absolutely. And we're on YouTube. You can scroll back and see past episodes as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say for people who are maybe listening for the first time or watching for the first time, I definitely think it's worth going back because we've talked about so many things over the years that are really informative and are still mostly relevant because, we try to keep things a little evergreen around here. But even if it's very specific to an event or to a training, there's always something to learn still. So yeah.
And each week I also like to zone in on a word that I want to carry me through that week. And this week my word is resilience.
Ooh, resilience.
Yes.
All right. What does that mean for you, or how is that showing up
That
this week?
means that life is gonna life, and you're gonna get knocked down, and you're gonna make mistakes, and may seem major at the time, but I think it's more important how you recover and how you bounce back, and how resilient you are.
No, I think that's really beautiful. I love that. I think I'm gonna pick the word patience.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, I just feel like the same kind of thing. You know, life is gonna life, and there's a lot of things that are happening out of our control. But just having the patience to, like, okay, we're gonna get through it.
Absolutely.
We're gonna be here, and we're gonna accept everyone for where they're at and move forward with that.
Yep.
Oh.
And on that note, I'm ready to start the week.
Yeah, let's get right to it.
Well, you guys, we're here and we're ready to serve, and we hope you tune in, and we hope you have a great week.
Thanks for listening, guys.